IT staff will examine each individual affected device to do a manual fix. He says water, sewer, and traffic control systems were not affected. All essential workers are still asked to report to work today, and any county employees who can work from home are asked to do so. We aren't the only ones feeling the effects of this outage. It's affecting businesses worldwide, from airlines to financial services and media groups. NBC's Tom Costello reports.
It's a massive computer outage wreaking havoc worldwide, grounding flights across the globe, hitting airlines, banks, stores, and even some 911 services.
It makes taking care of people in the emergency room extremely difficult and time-consuming, as if it wasn't already.
The outage appears to stem from an update from a cybersecurity company called CrowdStrike, causing users of Microsoft Windows operating systems to crash. CrowdStrike tells NBC News it suffered a major outage impacting businesses globally. The CEO says in a statement, CrowdStrike is actively working with customers impacted by a defect found in a single content update that is not a security incident or cyber attack. At least 3 major U.S. airlines, Delta, American, and United, grounded flights earlier this morning. The FAA says several airlines requested assistance. Lines have been growing at airports nationwide.
There's no information. There's no flights taking off. They have no idea what's going on.
American says it's now been able to safely reestablish our operation. Across the country, users on social media have been posting messages of their computer screens stuck on what's called the blue screen of death, now seen around the world. Microsoft has released a statement saying, "We acknowledge how impactful this is to our customers, and we are working to restore services for those still experiencing disruptions as quickly as possible."
News 10 NBC on the radio. Weekdays at 5 a.m., noon, 5, 6, and 11 on the WYSL stations.
Mira a la izquierda, mira a la derecha. ¿Qué ves? ¿Dónde estás? In a world that seems to change daily, what will you do next? Welcome to the Next Steps Show with Peter Vasquez, a starting point for discussion y un poco de dirección. Buenas tardes, buenos días, ¿qué tal todo el mundo Este es el conservative Nuyorican Peter Vasquez. Gee, Bob, I think I kind of like tripped on my words there for a second.
I wouldn't know.
You know, you like technology?
I love technology.
I do too. And
until it doesn't work, and then I don't like it anymore.
It is. I've always said I love tech when it doesn't work, but whatever happened to like pen and paper? Or you know, just like the old timestamp clocks and stuff, like they closed the entire county office, and I get maybe some services, but...
Is that because of the cloud problems?
Yeah, but I'm thinking, wow, you figure that with an emergency response, you'd have a quick response where we pull out the pens and the papers and the paper receipts, and you know what, even the fax machine, go figure, and old technology that's still relevant.
Give me a good old manual typewriter.
I figure, but you know, it's Friday, and I know that most people are probably more like me than not as far as waiting to the last minute sometimes to get something filed. I tell you, I feel bad for those transactions that were due today.
I feel bad for people in airports.
Yeah.
All the major airlines they're grounded.
They should have extended the RNC one more night and brought back the families that they had speaking on Thursday.
I don't know about that, Peter. You know the old showbiz phrase, leave them wanting more. You know what I'm saying?
True.
You don't want to overstay your welcome.
Anywho, hey, Bob, we got a great guest today. And
I noticed somebody else is sitting here in the studio.
Yeah, there quietly. If you're on our social media, remember, ladies and gentlemen, 346-3000 is the number to call. You can catch us on our social media, and like I always digo, you can just take us with us, right? We don't peek, we don't respond. We want you to listen, we want you to learn. But check it out, though. I say today's guest is extraordinary, right? Not because she's some political figure, or not because she's some millionaire or a national voice that's been out there, not yet at least, right? But because this person, right, she cares. She cares about God, country, and family. And the cool thing about it, and if you're seeing her on social media, she ain't, she's pretty young. Again, somebody else who's coming in and saying, listen, I am part of what we're calling Young America. Right? Politics, be damned, but I'm going to pay attention, and she's going to do what she's got to do. So check this out, ladies and gentlemen. She is an educator, an integrative health practitioner. Boy, I got to figure out what that is. And the inspiring founder and owner of Rock Your Wellness.
Yeah.
Pretty good stuff. She's a dedicated homeschool mom of two. Her journey began 19 years ago at St. John Fisher College, where she met her college sweetheart, a cool dude. I've met him once or twice, right? We call him Anthony. Anthony Angel. Is he an angel?
Yeah, he is.
He is an angel. He seems
More
like
days
a really
than
good guy.
not.
Listen, ladies and gentlemen, this young lady, she's the co-host of a new podcast that you should listen to that's called For Woman for Health.
Yeah.
Where she shares her knowledge and passion along with three other women, I believe,
Yes.
right? With a background in literacy education and roots in Baldwinsville, New York. So, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to hear in a second why if you're in Baldwinsville right now, you may want to tune in a little bit closer because she's got some roots there too, not just living there. But you may have heard her voice, right? Our guest journey is truly inspiring. So, mira, no cambie ese dial because I am introducing you to the Honorable Senora Meg Alcoa. Did I say that right? No, say it right for me here real quick. Alaco Angel. I can say Angel right.
Meg Alaco Angel. Is that right?
Megalaco Angel. I was Megan Mills growing up, so
Okay.
Alaco Angel was a lot to take on, but it's an honor to have that last name because there's a lot of meaning behind it, actually. So,
Well, why don't we start by telling us what that meaning is? Tell us who
Sure.
you are, but not the bio, right? I want to know who you were yesterday.
yeah. So, listen, my husband gave me that wonderful name. We talked about how we met at Fisher, and my story began 19 years ago. It really began almost 37 years ago because I'll be 37 in December. But I was lucky enough to marry a wonderful man who is actually your daughter-in-law's brother.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's how Peter and I are related, and we share some wonderful family.
You had her
And
in the show recently.
I know she did a wonderful job. I heard it. And you give us such a great welcome. I'm like so humbled by your welcome.
It's
So,
almost like a roast, It starts doing that CV thing.
but so my husband's biological father passed away before he was born. And so that's where the Alaco comes from. And then the angel, Lauren, and my father-in-law, who will be on the show coming up, Larry, their last name is Angel. So the last name was hyphenated. And so when I got married, Mills went out the door, and Alaco Angel is what my last name, what God chose for me. So,
What's your grandma's name again? Her first name?
which one?
That's a good one. See if I can remember. The one that I met very Angela.
Grandma Angela. Yeah, she's the Alaco.
Now, is she your grandmother?
So that's Anthony's biological grandmother.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
Now
Yep.
there's a-
Yep. So she's Grandma Cuckoo. She's the one that
Grandma
really,
Cuckoo.
she embraces everyone. I mean, everybody is family. You have definitely met and I'm sure shared some time with Angela
Mhm.
because she's somebody that you don't forget. And so, yeah, the Alaco honors her and her son who passed away. And then the angel is, the beauty of God making wonderful things happen out of terrible circumstances. And my father-in-law and their family has been so wonderful. Lauren is one of my very best friends. And for me, the angel, part is kind of like my childhood has been redeemed in many ways, and God came and gave me these angels in my life that I've been able to have, and create a wonderful family with.
So has God always been like this center in your life from, when you were young all the way through now? I mean,
I grew up, I was born to a Jew and an atheist, so no. I was a very confused kid. I had a lot of friends that went to Catholic school and they'd go to their Sunday school and they'd have religion classes during the week, or they'd go to Lutheran church. And I definitely had experience going because I'd go with my friends. My aunt went to Gates Alliance Church when I was a kid, and so I'd sleep at her house on Saturdays and go to church service. I was craving it. but I was very confused as somebody who also had ties to my Jewish faith, how it all collided and how it all made sense. And then when I went to St. John Fisher, I was taking world religion classes, I'm in Christian sacraments, philosophy classes, and I'm like raising my hand all the time, trying to make sense out of things. And
so were you able to make sense?
No, because I got led down the path of being a spiritual person. I got into the New Age realm. I was teaching yoga. I was very in the mindset of the universe. The universe has my back. I'm a spiritual person, but I knew who Jesus was. And I remember asking for a Bible in 3rd grade. And so my papa has been telling me since I was a little girl about his best friend, Jesus. And then in 2020, I found in my basement, I was struggling with everything going on in the world as everybody else was. And I was studying to be an adult yoga teacher because I had my kids' certification at the time. And I ended up finding a Bible in my basement, and I started reading the Bible and spending time in my Bible. And I all of a sudden was like my heart was just transforming, and I just found myself spending more time with God by myself. And at first that's what I thought, like, I don't need church, I don't need community, I can just sit on my balcony and be with my Bible. And then I got invited to Northridge, and I had been baptized in August of 2020 by my brother in the backyard of my house in our pool, and started going to Northridge, and we've been there ever since.
So when you started reading the Bible, you just picked up this Bible that you found. And did you start off with Genesis and just gonna start walking through it, or did you randomly look through? You feel like God led you to certain parts of that book?
You got it. I would kind of just sit there and ask God, what do you have for me? I remember just being like, God, what do you have for me? And I'd open up certain pages, and it was hard, at first, especially a King James, that was hard. So then I found myself in other translations that were a little bit easier to understand. And then once I started going to church and I was actively in Bible study, I started going back to the, roots of everything, and started with Genesis and went through the Old Testament and the New Testament. And I'm in scripture every single day. So
this is since 2020.
Yeah.
Recent.
Yeah. And it's changed my life. Like,
yeah, tell us how it's changed your life.
Jesus is everything. Like I had a difficult childhood. My dad left when I was 7, lived in Florida growing up. And that was hard, being the oldest of 3 kids. Your dad leaves. That's definitely a tough thing. And we made the best out of it. My mom, I had a great stepfather growing up. There was some mental health and some alcohol struggles. So, there was definitely some emotional trauma that we experienced as kids growing up that affected us, as adults. And I realized once I had Jesus that I didn't need to rationalize or justify anything anymore. That like everything that I'd been through, whether I was ashamed, whether I felt like I wasn't good enough, whether I felt like I wasn't worthy, to Jesus, none of that mattered. Like, he had enough grace for me, and he was going to accept me where I, as who I was, and meet me where I'm at, and love me for who I am. And I could only grow in that. And that changed everything for me.
Meet her where she was, ladies and gentlemen. That's the great thing. That's the great thing about Jesus Christ. It's just where you are. Nothing fancy, no rituals, no nothing. Mira, you're listening to, está escuchando al conservative Nuyorican Peter Vasquez, la voz de libertad, y por seguro, the honorable Señora Meg, Al Loco, Angel. We'll be right back right here in the Next Step Show.
Easy for you to say.
I just wanna fly. Put your arms around me, babe. Put your arms around me, babe.
In the Rochester and Finger Lakes region, one name stands above all others for real estate appraisal and advice.
Ryan Murphy and Associates.
This full-service real estate appraisal company can appraise and advise on purchase and sales decisions, mortgage finance feasibility, estate, matrimonial, partnership buyouts, litigation, and more. For any type of property, both residential and commercial. Ryan Murphy was founded almost 40 years ago. All of our highly trained staff members have at least 20 years of experience. All our appraisers are either New York State certified, general, or residential real estate appraisers.
Ryan Murphy and Associates.
Start here. RYNNEMurphy.com.
For the last couple of years, Joe Robach has been telling you about Flower City Collision in Henrietta, saying that it was started by a veteran along with his son, Zach. Hi, my name is Craig Sadwick, and I am that veteran. I want to thank the WYSL listeners for their support over the last couple of years. During those years, not only have I experienced the gratification of providing you the best repairs and customer service, it has also allowed me the opportunity to see my son develop as a young professional. So remember, Flower City Collision for your collision repair needs. And thank you for supporting our locally owned family business.
Youth for Christ Rochester is focused on keeping kids safe and healthy this summer. We provide a Christ-like culture in our skills and drills, Friday night or Saturday morning basketball. And we're so excited to start all 3 versions of our new God's Girls middle school programs. Consider connecting your business or ministry to one of these vital programs for City Youth through a sponsorship. Reach me at mhennessy@yfcrochester.org or support us online with a one-time or monthly gift. Go to yfcrochester.org/donate.
Back. You'll want to make sure your vehicle is in tip-top shape, whether it's for the daily commute or that vacation you're planning. For quality, affordable vehicle service, rely on Rock Auto Service, 1132 Westridge Road. Rock Auto has what your car, truck, or SUV needs. Oil change, brake service, suspension, alignments, exhaust, air conditioning, and tires. Check their Google reviews as one of Rochester's best for customer satisfaction. Rock Auto Service, 1132 Westridge, just east of Mount Reed, 434-5010.
Peter Vasquez and Next Step Show on the WYSL stations.
And Next Steps, of course, brought to you, as always, by our fine sponsors, Rock Auto Service, Ridge Road West near Mount Reed, Flower City Collision, and the real estate appraisal firm of Ryan Murphy and Associates. Again, here's your host for the most, Peter.
Muchas gracias, Senor Bob. You know what, ladies and gentlemen, aquí we have Meg Alaco Angel. Did I get it right?
You got it.
I don't know why I'm struggling so much with pronouncing your name, and I apologize for that, but I think I'm going to stick with Meg for a little while.
It's totally fine.
You know, ladies and gentlemen, I think I've learned more about you in the last 10 minutes than I have in the last 9 years that we've kind of known each other a little bit. So, you know, but Lauren likes to say, or she reminds me how I didn't really have a lot of conversations or remember her name and stuff like that. But you know, what's interesting to that is we talk about parenting. This is kind of what I want to talk about next. You know, I love my kids, and we have a blended family, and I met Brandon when he was 12, and what a phenomenal kid. Even since then, he was an entrepreneur. He was always thinking about his next idea. I remember him and his buddy Jamie, they came up with this shield idea for I just thought it was, you know, but he was intuitive, you know.
I love Brandon.
But there comes a time, as a lot of parents deal with, you know, as the kids get a little older, that there comes a little challenge or mindsets change. And Brandon, you know, he was on that verge of finishing high school, going into college, you know, being swayed by some worldly things. And my faith, you can't shatter my faith, right? And I wanted my kids to understand that. So girls were also very influential. And although Brandon met Lauren, I think, after he had moved out, but even then, knowing, you know, the situation, as I'm sure you knew it probably little then, and it wasn't bad. Brandon was a great kid all the time.
Yeah.
I just wanted to make sure that he was, you know, that he was thinking on family, that he was thinking on how am I going to take care of this young lady that I'm going to marry, how I'm going to take care of myself. But you know what? At the end of the day, the kid surprised me and everybody else. And although I knew he had it in him, it was so exciting to see when he saw he had it in him. And today we've got 2 beautiful grandkids. And I know Lauren's kind of running everything, you know, behind the scenes, but we won't tell Brandon that. You know, but with that being said, he's taking care of his business. And if you ask any of my kids, that's all I ever told them. And I'll tell you, I'm so grateful that Lauren was a great person. Kudos to her parents as well, and to the family. Because it could have turned out a different way, because there are people out there that would take a situation for their own interest. And it's never just been about Lauren, or about you, and I see your family. I mean, your daughter and your son is getting so big. Just watching them and their dance routines. I mean, these kids love God too. And the thing is, both you and Lauren and Brandon, it's not like you guys are 50 like me or 65 like this guy next to us, right? I mean, you guys are starting out. As a matter of fact, the entire political narrative now demonizes more people like me. Like I mentioned in the show yesterday, they make me and people like me feel like we're the enemies, or at least put us out that way. But here you are at a very young age, and I won't ask her age, and your husband making things happen. So politically, where are you? Does it matter to you? Are you involved in politics? Do you think it plays a role in your life, good or bad?
Oh, 100%. I'm an educator, so the thing is I'm responsible, to teach kids and to teach others how to think, not what to think. So it's important that I do my research and, I understand exactly, what it is I'm educating on and why policies are important and, why it's important to elect the right people into office, because at the end of the day, our children are going to grow up and there's a world that they're going to live in, and it could look, really nice, or it could look really scary. And right now, I think a lot of us are very scared. Yeah. And that's the thing, though, because the Lord says, fear not, right? 365 times, actually, one for each day. And I think that's the thing, is that we have to put our faith and our trust and know that God wins in the end. And also know that the Lord says when you follow him, the world's going to hate you. That's very clear. And I think as a true follower of Christ, you have to understand that. Like, even with your kids, the things that you do every single day are going to mold them and shape them and influence them. There is definitely environmental influences, and that will completely, impact who they are. But ultimately, our children are not even ours either. They're the Lord's, and so we have to trust them to him.
Yeah. So check this out. In New York State Education Department, best practices says things like students are not required to obtain parental guardian consent or a court order name and or gender gender change before being addressed by their affirmed name and pronoun. So basically, a child in school, boy or girl, the school doesn't have to ask mom and dad. Something else that they talk about, best practices. The student is in charge of their gender transition, and the school's role is to provide support. Some TGE students have not talked to their families about their gender identity because of safety concerns or lack of acceptance that may begin their transition at school without parent or guardian knowledge. Are you familiar with the ERA, the Equal Rights Amendment, that the state and many in the progressive left are saying things like, as a matter of fact, my opponent even says this, right? That it's a good thing that they're pushing that through, that it's a good thing that that the state is finally, addressing these issues, and they're trying to put it out there as this big abortion protection bill, which is a whole nother discussion. But one of the proposed laws that they have is basically making it illegal based on age, right, to discriminate. And I can read to you the proposed changes, but are you familiar with the ERA?
Oh, yes.
All right, so I won't go through and read it. We had a show on
I left the public school system.
I do. You homeschool,
Yeah,
which is what I want to talk about next. So why did you leave the public school system? Does this ERA, how does it impact you as a young mother with young kids? You're a little bit ahead of Lauren as far as age. But you still got quite some time to go, and you're entering not just the age with your daughter, but also an environment that makes you the bad guy.
In New York State, we're not entering that age when they're teenagers. We're entering that age when they're preteens. You go to the doctors, and these kids get access to their MyChart at age 12.
Yeah. Public schools, I don't know if private schools, but they give out condoms in 5th grade.
And it's so hard, right? Because again, what did I just say? My job as an educator is to teach kids how to think, how to use their brains, not what to think, whether I have beliefs or not. It's funny because you talk about discrimination, but in 2019, 26,000 kids got kicked out of school because they took the religious and exemption away for, our right for immunizations and for parents to have a choice and informed consent. Is that even a thing anymore? Like, we talk about discrimination on one side of the coin, but let's talk about it on the other. Like, parents don't have the right to make the right choices for their bio-individual, child. Like, we have to group them all together and say, oh, we have to do the same thing for everyone in order for them to go to private and public school, not just public school.
Do you feel that that as a parent you're kind of under attack by our school system, by our political system?
Oh, yeah, 1,000%. Yes. That's why we brought it back home. I mean, even when it comes to our providers, we left our pediatrician after, goodness gracious, 13 years? And now we're seeing a private practice, and we drove out to Buffalo for a private practice during COVID so that we could have parental choice and feel, confident about the providers that we chose for our family and the fact that they honored our decisions, but let me just say this. Who I was at 12, 13, 14 years old, I'm really glad I didn't make decisions for my future. Really, really important decisions for my future back then, because I was an emo kid. If you looked at me years ago, I was not who I am now. And it was, a lot of things that I was dealing with trauma-wise. And I wish I would have had the right support, people leading me to Jesus instead of adults encouraging me to make lifelong choices like that.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is the Honorable Young Lady Meg Alaco. Angel will be right back aquí on the Next Step show on the WYSL stations in unos momentos.
I got all my sisters with me. We are family. Get up, everybody, sing. We are family. I got all my sisters with me. We are family. Get up, everybody, sing.
Pray for the USA.
WYSL.
Proud to be your local talk station for great American programming.
Here's the latest forecast from the News 10 NBC Weather Center for tonight. Mainly clear skies, comfortably cool once again in the 50s and low 60s. On Saturday, a gorgeous day. Plenty of sunshine, just a fair weather cloud or two. Temperatures into the low 80s on Sunday. Will turn partly cloudy. A weak front will come in, maybe a sprinkle in the afternoon with temperatures in the 80s. I'm Rich Cornelia, WYSL.
Red Wings Radio.
The Insider Report with Josh Wetzel, brought to you by Monroe County Republicans. Be sure to register and vote and bring friends and family with you to the polls.
After the final day of the All-Star break Thursday, the Red Wings get after it again Friday night on the road in Syracuse. This is the start of a three-game series for the Wings against the third-place Mets. We're 2 games behind the first-place Red Wings. This is a tough stretch of games the Wings will be playing straight out of the All-Star break. 3 in Syracuse and then 6 games at home against the Lehigh Valley team that's currently in second place in the second half. And after that, 6 more home games for the Red Wings, but against the team that won the first half, the Omaha Storm Chasers. Friday night in the first game out of the break, the Red Wings will start their most consistent starting pitcher before the All-Star break, Spencer Watkins. Dom Hamill, AAA newcomer, on the mound for the Syracuse Mets. This is Josh Wetzel for the WYSL station.
With critical races on the ballot this year, we have an opportunity to send a message that we want change. Here are 3 things that you can do today to ensure that we are set up for success this fall. Make sure you are registered to vote at your current address. Get out and support our local candidates, and subscribe on our website to receive the latest news this election season. Visit MonroeGOP.com/vote to learn more. Paid for by the Monroe County Republican Committee.
For hot savings and off-road fun, shop the all-new Victor Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, Route 96 in Victor. Try these deals. Lease a 2024 Jeep Compass Limited 4x4, only $179 a month for 27 months with $3,500 cash and trade down. Must have lease limits. A 2024 Jeep Grand Cherokee Laredo X 4x4 is just $379 a month for 39 months. $3,500 cash and trade down must be Conquest LC. The 2024 Jeep Wrangler Willis 4XE convertible is just $349 a month for 36 months. $3,500 cash and trade down with lease loyalty. All these deals require first payment, DMV taxes and fees due at signing. 7,500 miles per year except Jeep Compass, 10,000 miles per year. Conditions may apply. See dealer for details. We welcome Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, and Ram customers in Victor, Canandaigua, Macedon, Fairport, and Finger Lakes. The selection and deals are great at the most beautiful new vehicle sales and service dealership in the area. Victor Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, Route 96, just east of Victor.
Patchwork Saddlery in Avon fits Western saddles as well as English saddles. The styles and construction is different, but the importance of fitting the horse and rider isn't. Whether you're a trail rider, a barrel racer, or a roper, your horse can't give you his best if his saddle is hurting him. Patchwork Saddlery's fitter can give you the peace of mind that your saddle is good for both of you, or the insight to select one that would work better. Put your money where your heart is. Shop locally at Patchwork Saddlery, East Main Street, Avon.
Live harness racing returns to Batavia Downs for the summer of 2024, sponsored by Roswell Park Comprehensive Cancer Center. You won't want to miss opening night on Saturday, July 27th. Enjoy the action from inside our clubhouse. Bring friends and family to watch the great harness racing trackside. Plan more summer fun with a full schedule on BataviaDownsGaming.com. Make a night of it by staying in the beautiful Batavia Downs Hotel. Dine, play, and stay at Batavia Downs.
Joe Robot ha estado hablando de Flower City Collision en Henrietta. Fundado por un veterano y su hijo Zach, Greg Sedgwick es ese veterano. No solo ha brindado las mejores reparaciones y servicio al cliente, sino Greg ha visto a su hijo crecer como profesional. Recuerda, Flower City Collision para tus reparaciones de colisión. Visítalos en flowercitycollision.com.
An experience more than 20 years in dentistry, Dr. David Olivo welcomes new patients to his family practice at 2005 Lyle Avenue. At the office of Dr. Olivo, you'll discover a warm and comforting environment staffed by professionals who are committed to providing the best available dental care while assuring your complete comfort. Call 328-3382 for an appointment. Dr. David Olivo, offering quality dentistry with a gentle touch.
Peter Vasquez and Next Step Show on the WYSL stations.
Welcome back to the Next Step Show, ladies and gentlemen. Sí, soy yo, tu conservative Nuyorican Peter Vasquez. Aquí en studio yo tengo a una señorita, or señora será. Her name is Meg Alaco Angel, and she happens to be somebody who I've known for a little while that I've realized today that I haven't really known, so I'm glad she's on. Ladies and gentlemen, today's episode is focused, right, on what it really means, again, to be American, but not us old folks who sit at home and look back and say, I know what America looked like, right? These are people that are sitting here looking back saying, whoa, wait a minute, something isn't right. And I remember grandma or grandpa or mom and dad telling us this, and just things don't seem right. So the RNC, the Republican National Convention, just ended, right? There's talk, which I think Paul was right about, by the way, because now everybody's talking about how Biden may step down in the next couple of days. And
well, that's wishful thinking on the part of a lot of people, who, particularly the legacy media.
Yeah, sure. So,
because they know that he can't win, so they want to shove him. I mean, excuse me, but the Democrat voters have picked Joe Biden to be the candidate. He's been nominated.
Yeah. And what's crazy, this is why I think this whole COVID thing, by the way, is just kind of like a precursor to what's going to come up next, because the only way he can get out of this is the only way he can get out of it is through a medical diagnosis, because even if they invoke the 25th, it's not going to be good for anybody.
They're not going to invoke the 25th.
They were just praising his glories, a week ago.
Right. Well, it all depends on how the the polls drive everything.
Yeah.
And the other thing that they have to overcome is Jill Biden.
Yes.
Because she's the president.
Yes, she is.
She's running the country, and she's really digging this role.
I can imagine.
She doesn't want this gravy train to stop. So good luck. What a mess.
Yeah, it is.
God wins. Just remember that. God wins.
Well, actually, he's propelling the flexing scenario that's going on right now. This is just one of 12 million mysterious ways, right?
That's right. That's right.
So there's two candidates, two clear, distinct visions for this country. And the cool thing about this particular election is that as Americans, as voters, we can actually look at the voting record, I guess, or what the paths are going to look like depending on who we choose. We haven't had that in a long time. It's usually either been as an incumbent, or someone who's coming in new. Both candidates have a record.
Yeah.
One has a great record, and one claims he has a great record. And I heard him the other day saying that groceries are fine. I mean, I'm like, listen, these people are lying. But my question,
Joe Biden lying, seriously,
is for a young person, what do you think this year's election is going to? What does it mean to you? I mean, is there an impact one way or the other? Is it candidate specific, like the individual, or philosophies? I mean, how does all that play for you? Party politics, party ideology.
I mean, it's our freedoms, really. We're like on the brink of, a serious power struggle here. We used to be the greatest. I think we are the greatest country in the world, but we used to be the most respected, I think. And now we're kind of laughed at. And I think that's concerning when you think about, our children and the future generations and what that does for them. That's what drives me the most is, my family. The nuclear family has been under attack. And I think we need to get back to our roots, and we need to focus on, God and country. And we need to really, spend more time being educated and less distracted. Because I think, people don't even know what they're voting for these days. And I think that's, important to really understand the impact, that these candidates have. I mean, you can see, what's happened to our country over the last 4 years. And I mean, it's concerning because young families, the middle class is no longer, we're struggling. Like, I did everything I was told. Go to college. Guess what? First person in my family to go to college. Ton of student loan debt, $152,000 to be exact, because I just looked yesterday.
Biden erased that for you, wouldn't he? Because that's what he's telling all your
No. It does not. It doesn't work like that. I still have $152,000. If they wanted to do anything for us, get rid of the interest. If you got rid of the interest a long time ago, I could actually pay my loans off. The money that I've been paying towards my loans would do something and put a dent into something, but it doesn't. So them saying that they're going to just pay all this stuff off, baloney. Hasn't happened. I went to college. I got a master's degree in education. So not only did I get 4 years, I went back for another 2, have a master's degree, and my family and I are a young family. My husband and I are 37, and I'll be 37 in December. He just turned 38. We have a 10 and 16-year-old. We homeschool. It's expensive. Like,
does your husband work?
Yeah, he's an insurance broker, and thankfully, he has a good job that provides. And Benecare is an amazing company. He's been there for 10 years. And I'm very grateful for the flexibility and the way that they put family first. But, we work really hard, and, the toilet had a problem last week. That's $750, to the plumber. The bees in our yard need to be exterminated. That's $370. Like, that's $1,100 that we have to pay. And it's like, there's groceries, there's vehicles, gas, there's our kids' extracurriculars, there's education needs. I mean, New York State, we don't even get credit towards homeschooling our kids. States like Florida, they give credits back. They give money, grants towards education for families. New York State doesn't do any of that,
Which
you know?
is a stark difference between the two people running for White House right
For
now.
sure.
The terms Republican and Democrat, do either of them mean anything to you? Does it play a role? Does it decide what you're doing next by chance?
I have always, I mean, I'm a registered Republican, but I will say that for me, I think there's, you know, bad eggs on both sides. I think we need to unite, you know, as a country. I think the people, United Republic is really what we need. I think democracy, you know, is used as this blanket term these days. And what is even a democracy? Do we really live in a democracy? Like, my kids can't go to school in New York State. Is that, you know, really a democracy? Like, I don't know.
But we don't live in a democracy. That's the crazy thing about it. We live in a representative republic, which is,
right.
I guess, kind of like a democracy, but not really.
Right. No. Right. Yeah, I don't know. It's like a circus, I feel like.
No, but that's what they're teaching our kids, though, because remember, in a democracy, majority rules. And what we see happening now in our county government, in our state government, the governor is a hocus pocus. She's a magician. She's not a governor. You got the buffoon in the White House. They all talk about how kumbaya they are with a bunch of lies, but
can I just jump in here for a minute too? Because you just mentioned
$5.
Governor Seabiscuit, and I just want to point out to everybody out there. Kathy Hochul's one of the names being bandied about to replace Joe Biden on the ticket.
No way.
So I just want to throw that out there for everybody. Get in gear, get busy, and get people to the polls. And listen, anytime
It does matter.
Oh yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So what you have to do is don't assume that we've got this in the bag.
That's worse than having Kamala Harris. Or as bad, I should say.
What worse?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, because some people would take Kathy Hochul seriously. No danger of that with Harris.
Yes. And she's, anyways, DEI. You familiar with that term?
I mean, yes.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's something that's been pushed in schools.
It's a buzzword around here these days, yeah.
How does that play a role in homeschool?
Oh my gosh,
Or should it?
homeschool. You want to talk about diversity in homeschool? It's just living life and being amongst people in the real world. I mean, my kids have an amazing, you know, group of, not even group. I mean, they're peers. There's so much diversity among their peers because they're out in the community living life and learning with people from all walks of life. That's what, you know, true diversity is. Being able to walk in other people's shoes, being able to have compassion, being able to listen to people and, you know, show them grace and, you know, truly, you know, pray for people because you know them and you're building relationships with them. That's the diversity that I look forward to as a mother, that I want my kids to be focused on, and to recognize that there's multiple opinions in paths in life. You know, you can go to the trade route, you can go to college, you know, you can go to the military. There's so many different things that you can do. But ultimately, the narrow path is going to lead you where you need to go. And so,
absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, this is the Next Step Show, and you're listening to 37 years old Meg, mother of two. One is a preteen, one is almost a preteen. She's got a phenomenal husband. When we get back, we're going to ask her a couple more questions in regards to how is it that she navigates life with her family through the crazy world as an entrepreneur. We'll be right back right here on the WYSL station. Sí, con la voz de libertad y de conservative New York.
Take a sip, pull it down, lean back, put your hips in it. Let's have some fun. To the left now. To the right. Now take your left hand and put it on your side.
In the Rochester and Finger Lakes region, one name stands above all others for real estate appraisal and advice.
Ryan Murphy and Associates.
This full-service real estate appraisal company can appraise and advise on purchase and sales decisions, mortgage finance feasibility, estate, matrimonial, partnership buyouts, litigation, and more. For any type of property, both residential and commercial. Ryan Murphy was founded almost 40 years ago. All of our highly trained staff members have at least 20 years of experience. All our appraisers are either New York State certified, general, or residential real estate appraisers.
Ryan Murphy and Associates.
Start here. RYNNEMurphy.com.
Hi, my name is Greg Sadwick, and along with my son Zach, we are the owners of Flower City Collision. We've been advertisers on WYSL, the voice of liberty, for the last couple of years. So I want to thank the listeners of WYSL for their patronage, which has allowed us to grow and reinvest in the latest technologies to ensure that your vehicles are repaired to the most current standards, whether conventional or EV. If you're in a collision, reach out to Zach at Flower City Collision in Henrietta, and he'll work with your national insurance company on your local behalf to ensure that your repair gets done right.
Baseball, hot dogs, and the American flag. They're all part of the rich fabric that makes our country great. Show your American spirit by purchasing your flag from the Stars and Stripes Flag Store today. When you do, you are supporting critically needed services for local veterans at the Veterans Outreach Center. Let's show our veterans that we care by placing our nation's symbol on the porch of every house in our community. The Stars and Stripes Flag Store, 783 South Avenue, Rochester, or visit eflagstore.com.
Now that the good weather, make sure your vehicle is in tip-top shape, whether it's for the daily commute or that vacation you're planning. For quality, affordable vehicle service, rely on Rock Auto Service, 1132 Westridge Road. Rock Auto has what your car, truck, or SUV needs. Oil change, brake service, suspension, alignments, exhaust, air conditioning, and tires. Check their Google reviews as one of Rochester's best for customer satisfaction. Rock Auto Service, 1132 Westridge, just east of Mount Reed, 434-5010.
Next Steps with Peter Vasquez on the WYSL stations.
Next Steps brought to you, of course, by Rock Auto Service, Westridge Road near Mount Reed, Flower City Collision, and the real estate appraisal firm of Ryan Murphy and Associates, residential and commercial. Give them a call for your appraisal needs. Here is Peter.
Muchas gracias, señores y señoras, for sticking with us. Sí, soy yo, Peter Vasquez, the conservative New Yorker. Sí, aquí tenemos a la señora Meg. Hey, Devin, thank you for watching online. Lauren Demo is watching. And check this out, your father-in-law is watching, so watch what you say.
And he knows I keep it real.
So he'll be on next Friday. You'll have to tell us what we're going to expect if we have time. Ladies and gentlemen, 346-3000. Give us a call, right? I'm sure that Meg would love to answer any questions you got. But what I want to know, and I think our listeners want to know too, is that as a young adult, because you're still kind of within that age group, I believe, right? Would you be considered a millennial? Is that what you're, or am I the millennial?
Yeah, millennial. I think so, because I'm not a Gen Z. So.
You're not a Gen Z.
Yeah.
Okay, so good for you, right? Yeah. Woo-hoo! Keep our kids away from the rest of them. I'm kidding, ladies and gentlemen. So as a 37-year-old American young lady with a husband who's going to work every day, handling his business for the family, how do you find yourself as an entrepreneur? And on top of that, you love Jesus Christ. So that's not common amongst your age group. So how do you function your business, your kids, your faith, which is what the show is all about, within that, because most of your customers, most of the people you're trying to reach to, I'm assuming, is around your age or younger.
For sure. Well, the Lord is so good and he guides my steps. I spend every morning almost in the sauna with the Lord. So I'm, starting my day in prayer and doing devotional, and that really helps me. I've had to surrender, honestly. God is helping me with my business. I trust that he brings the right clients to me. I make the time, in the pockets of my day. The cool thing about homeschooling is that your kids get to live life with you. So my kids are seeing me be an entrepreneur and they're in it with me. When I'm teaching STEM classes, my kids are teaching with me. They're volunteering in the community. They're helping with younger kids. They're helping with kids that have special needs. They're helping me lesson plan at times, which has been super cool. And that's all part of their homeschooling experiences, which is even more cool. But really, I have to take care of myself. We focus a lot on our health and our wellness. The Lord wants us to honor our temples. He wants us to take care of ourselves. We take our bodies for granted. And I chose to go back to school as an integrative health practitioner so that I could help families and ultimately do that through, my journey and the work that I've done and my family has done, which leads me to be able to share and educate and, be authentic and really, put my life out there so people can build that relationship with me and trust me, but ultimately knowing that Jesus is the one that's controlling everything. Like he is the one that I want to glorify. He's doing the work. I'm working through him. He's the ultimate healer. So the Lord, every step I take, he's with me.
So one more quick question, if I were in the political side of stuff.
Yeah,
and then I want to
sure,
get into your two businesses and talk a little bit about your podcast and the time we have left. The state has a big push on what they call women's health. And then ERA is kind of tied to this. And you seem to be someone who understands. I mean, you got a whole podcast called For Women for Health, which I want to learn a little bit more about.
Yep.
But this whole push on women's health, I mean, you must be pretty excited that we have a governor, we have a county clerk, and even the guy that holds the executive seat, right? I mean, they're all like, women's health. Mm-hmm. Tell us how excited you are about that.
Let's just say women's health. We've been, as women, taught everything backwards. Women are so disconnected, from our bodies, understanding what goes on inside our bodies, that we're fighting for things in the name of women's health that are creating more health issues long term, that are, causing infertility issues, that are turning systems off in our body that are super important in order for us to be healthy and be able to take care of our children and our families. And, it's sad because informed consent is such an important thing. And I think, we're so misinformed. And I think if women truly understood, what women's health really is, and I think women are waking up to it. But I think there's a lot more work that needs to be done because it's completely backwards in this state. I'll tell you that.
Absolutely. Now before we get in, I'm sorry, one more question popped up.
Go for it.
All right.
I'm passionate about this topic.
In your homeschool groups, because there's a lot of different groups, the Leah group, and that's the one I'm familiar with, and other groups that
Grace
bring
Collaborative and Teach to Learn is the ones we're affiliated with.
Are there Black people in your groups?
Oh yeah. Yeah, there's kids of all kinds. It's amazing because
so homeschool isn't just for the rich white guy that lives up in Webster where life is worth
Peter,
living.
There's a lot of single income families that are just getting by that are homeschooling. Oh my goodness gracious. I have so much respect for so many of these families, so many of these women that are sacrificing, so many different worldly things, which I think at the end of the day, if you were to talk to us, we don't feel like it's a sacrifice at all. We feel like it's a blessing to be able to do the things that we're doing, to be there with our kids and to be able to educate and provide, at home, because our husbands are doing a lot of the providing outside of the home. And so, it's definitely one of those things where there are people from all walks of life. I'm a preschool teacher, and I have had kids from all walks of life, of all different colors, learning, styles, all sorts of things in my classes.
We're coming down to the last few minutes of the show, and I'm sorry, but these were just questions that pop up as we talk, right? I keep an outline, but I don't have them like pre-made questions, and I don't give you questions.
I love organic conversation.
If you can briefly, because I have two more questions that I want to make sure we get to. We got about 2.5 minutes left. Can you tell us, For Women for Health, your new podcast that you are co-hosting?
Yes.
Where can people see it, and what can they expect quickly?
So we are releasing it. It's going to be on the major outlets. We're going to be on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. We'll be on Instagram at For Women for Health and Facebook For Women for Health. 4 is in the number 4. And it's me and 3 other practitioners and colleagues, Dr. Brooke Morfitt, who's a chiropractor, Janelle Petrosino, who is a personal fitness trainer and an integrative health practitioner, and Carly Bigelow, who is a holistic health practitioner, and she's also a dance teacher as well. And all 4 of us have come together to be able to provide another outlet for people to be able to talk about informed consent and see women's healthcare from the perspective of what true healthcare should look like.
In about 10 seconds, can you give our listeners next steps advice? That's what I like to call it, that they can follow to kind of get to where you are and get involved with you maybe, or do their own stuff?
Yeah, I'm a gut health specialist, an integrative health practitioner. I specialize in gut health and mental wellness. You can find me at Rock Your Wellness Meg on Instagram. If you need support with your gut health, your mental wellness, overall holistic health, integrative health, that is my area for sure. And I am somebody, if you are struggling, any digestive issues, or if you even need support with your mental and, spiritual health, I am somebody that can guide you and coach you along the way.
How about politically? Can you touch on that real quick? Any advice on that?
I mean, this is what I'm going to say. Your vote matters, and our kids and the future generations depend on it. And so we need to be fighting for our freedoms, for God, for country, and what this country was originally founded upon. So go and do your research, do your education. It's super important. Don't just show up for the polls and vote for who the news is telling you to. When they tell you to do something, typically you should do the opposite.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is the Honorable Alako Angel. I apologize for mispronouncing your last name. Catch your podcast for Woman for Health. And check it out, ladies and gentlemen. You hear me say this all the time. See? And check it out. Be a leader, be a leader, be a leader. Because if you're not, right, then what are you doing? Say it with me. Memorize it. Repeat it. Leadership is the beacon that guides me. For it's through selfless service that I illuminate the way for others to find their own greatness. Y nunca te olvide, aquí en the WYSL stations, La Voz de Libertad, see, on the Next Step Show to conservative New Yorker Peter Vasquez, siempre, siempre te amamos.
Con alma de hombre, ven conóceme de reto y hay amor pa' que te sobre.
Live harness racing returns to